Welcome back to Midnight Archives. We journey into the abyss where urban legends breathe, the paranormal beckons, and fear finds its home. Join our community of brave souls by liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. As the midnight hour approaches, the archives await your presence. Let's begin. Tonight, we're stepping away from our usual ghostly tales to explore something just as spine-tingling. Man-made tragedies that shook the Philippines to its core. This is part 2 of our series, so if you haven't checked out part 1 yet, hit that link hovering over your screen and catch up on the chilling events that started it all. Now I know we usually delve into the paranormal, but trust me, these stories are terrifying in their own right. Sometimes, the real horrors aren't from the supernatural, but from the shadows of human error and tragedy. So buckle up, keep the lights low, and let's unravel these haunting episodes that history wishes we could forget. On January 25, 2015, the quiet town of Mamasapano became the stage for a tragedy that would leave the nation in shock. Operation Upland Exodus was launched by the Special Action Force of the Philippine National Police. Their mission? To capture 2 high-profile terrorists. But what should have been a covert operation turned into a bloodbath. The SAF team found themselves in a deadly encounter with members of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters. When the smoke cleared, 44 SAF members had lost their lives. 18 MILF fighters and several civilians were also killed. The nation was left reeling. The fallout was immediate and far-reaching. The peace process in Mindanao was derailed. Hundreds of families were displaced. And at the highest levels of government, heads began to roll. The massacre sparked a political firestorm. It challenged President Aquino's administration and threatened to unravel years of delicate peace negotiations. Multiple investigations were launched, criminal charges were filed, but for many, justice remained elusive. Today, the Mamasapano massacre stands as a grim reminder of the complexities of peace and security in the Philippines. It's a tragedy that continues to shape the nation's approach to internal conflicts and military operations. On May 23, 2017, the peaceful city of Marawi was suddenly thrust into chaos. What began as a routine operation to capture a terrorist leader quickly spiraled into a full-scale urban war. The Maute Group and Abu Sayyaf, both pledging allegiances to ISIS, took control of large parts of the city. President Rodrigo Duterte's response was swift and severe. Martial law was declared across all of Mindanao. For 5 long months, the streets of Marawi became a battleground. The Philippine military, caught off guard by the militants' urban warfare tactics, fought block by block to reclaim the city. The human cost was staggering. Over 1,000 lives lost. 350,000 residents displaced, a once vibrant city reduced to rubble. On October 23, 2017, the government declared victory. The militant leaders were dead, but so too was the Marawi that its residents once knew. The aftermath of the siege raised difficult questions. How had ISIS gained such a foothold in Southeast Asia? Was the military prepared for this new kind of threat? And perhaps, most importantly, how could trust be rebuilt between the government and the Muslim communities of Mindanao? The task of rebuilding Marawi has been monumental. Billions of pesos pledged, yet progress has been painfully slow. Years later, many residents still can't return home. The Marawi Siege changed the Philippines' approach to national security. Urban warfare training intensified. Intelligence gathering was overhauled. But the roots of extremism, poverty, marginalization, political disenfranchisement, these remain stubborn challenges. As Marawi slowly rebuilds, the siege stands as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the devastating impact of extremism. It's a tragedy that continues to shape the nation's future, leaving scars that may take generations to heal. Our journey through the Philippines' man-made tragedies brings us to a heartbreaking event that shook the town of Bukawi, Bulacan. This is the story of the Bua Pagoda Tragedy. July 2nd, 1993. The annual Pagoda Festival was in full swing. Hundreds of Catholic devotees gathered to honor the Holy Cross of Wawa. The air was filled with excitement and reverence. At the heart of the celebration was a magnificent three-tiered pagoda floating gracefully on the Bukawi River. But beneath the festive atmosphere, danger lurked. The pagoda was dangerously overloaded. More people than it could safely hold crowded onto its decks, eager to be part of the sacred procession. Suddenly, the unthinkable happened. The overloaded pagoda began to tilt. In moments, it capsized, plunging hundreds into the murky waters of the Bukawi River. The aftermath was devastating. Over 200 lives lost. Some reports say as many as 279. An entire community plunged into grief. The festival of joy had turned into a nightmare of unimaginable proportions. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the Philippines. How could a beloved religious celebration end in such horror? Questions of responsibility and safety measures came to the forefront. In response, authorities scrambled to implement stricter safety protocols. New guidelines were put in place for waterborne processions. Life vest requirements were tightened, but for many, these measures came too late. Today, the Bua Pagoda Tragedy stands as a somber reminder of the importance of public safety. It's a cautionary tale of what can happen when excitement overrides caution. The festival continues to this day, but with a heavy heart and watchful eye. The memory of those lost lives on, a permanent part of Bukawi's history. As we remember this tragedy, we're reminded of the delicate balance between tradition and safety. The Bua Pagoda Tragedy, a stark lesson that continues to echo through time, urging us to cherish our celebrations while never forgetting the value of human life. As we continue our journey through the Philippines' darkest moments, we arrive at a day that shattered the nation's peace. December 30th, 2000. This is the story of the Rizal Day bombings. It was supposed to be a day of remembrance, honoring national hero Jose Rizal. Instead, it became a day of terror that Manila would never forget. In a coordinated attack that shocked the nation, 5 bombs exploded across Metro Manila. Plaza Ferguson in Malate, a gas station in Makati, the airport, a bus on EDSA, and the deadliest, a train at Blumentritt Station. The devastation was immediate and horrific. 22 lives lost, over 100 injured, a city gripped by fear and chaos. As the smoke cleared, the questions began. Who was behind this act of terror? And why target innocent civilians on a day of national significance? The investigation pointed to Jemaah Islamiyah, a militant group with ties to international terrorism. It was a chilling revelation. The threat was no longer just domestic, but part of a larger, more sinister network. The bombings changed Manila overnight. Security tightened, vigilance increased. The carefree atmosphere of the city was replaced by a constant undercurrent of unease. In the years that followed, arrests were made. Saifullah Yunus, Mamasao Naga, Abdul Pata, names that would become synonymous with this dark chapter in Philippine history. Convictions followed with sentences of up to 20 years handed down. But the Rizal Day bombings had implications far beyond the courtroom. They sparked a new era of counterterrorism efforts in the Philippines. International cooperation intensified. The country was now on the front lines of a global fight against extremism. Today, Manila has healed, but it hasn't forgotten. Every December 30th, as the nation honors Jose Rizal, it also remembers those lost in the senseless act of violence. Our next tragedy takes us to a place where dreams of instant wealth turned into a nightmare. This is the story of the PhilSports Stadium Stampede. February 4th, 2006. The popular game show Wawa Wee was celebrating its first anniversary. For many Filipinos living in poverty, it represented a chance at a better life. The promise of life-changing cash prizes drew a staggering crowd. 25,000, 30,000, maybe even 35,000 people, far more than the stadium could safely hold. As organizers began distributing tickets, the unthinkable happened. The crowd surged forward, becoming an unstoppable human tide. In moments, excitement turned to terror. People were crushed against barriers trampled underfoot. The air filled with screams and cries for help. When it was over, 73 lives were lost, hundreds more injured. Most of the victims were the very people the show aimed to help: the elderly, the poor, the desperate. The nation was left in shock. How could a game show lead to such tragedy? The blame game began almost immediately. Investigations revealed a perfect storm of poor planning, inadequate crowd control, and failure to anticipate the sheer desperation of the crowd. The public demanded accountability. ABS-CBN, the show's producer, faced intense scrutiny. Legal battles ensued, though many felt justice remained elusive. In the wake of the tragedy, changes were made. Stricter safety regulations, better crowd management protocols, but for many, these measures came too late. Since that fateful day in 2006, numerous reports have emerged of paranormal activity haunting the stadium. Witnesses speak of apparitions and shadows drifting through the stands, echoing the chaos of the past. Then there are the voices, cries, screams, and murmurs that pierce the silence of the night. Are these the echoes of the panic and tragedy that unfolded, or simply the imagination running wild in a place so deeply scarred? Visitors often speak of cold spots, sudden drops in temperature that send shivers down their spines, and the unsettling sensation of being watched. It's as if the air itself is charged with memories of the past. The PhilSports Stadium Stampede stands as a grim reminder of the dangers when entertainment meets desperation. It exposed the deep socio-economic divides in Philippine society and the lengths people will go for a chance at a better life. Today, as game shows continue to captivate audiences, the echoes of that tragic day serve as a constant reminder: no prize is worth a human life. Our final tragedy takes us to the treacherous waters of Romblon, where a perfect storm of human error and nature's fury led to one of the Philippines' worst maritime disasters. This is the story of the MV Princess of the Stars. June 21st, 2008. Typhoon Fengshen, known locally as Frank, was barreling towards the Philippines. Despite the warnings, a passenger ferry set sail from Manila to Cebu City. The MV Princess of the Stars, carrying over 800 souls, plowed into the storm. The decision to sail would prove catastrophic. As the typhoon changed course, the massive ferry found itself in the eye of the storm. Waves crashed over the deck, winds howled, and then the unthinkable happened. The Princess of the Stars capsized and sank. In moments, hundreds of lives were lost to the angry sea. The aftermath was heartbreaking. 814 people perished. Only 56 survivors were found. Families waited in anguish for news of their loved ones. But the tragedy didn't end there. The sunken ship held a deadly secret. 10,000 kilos of toxic pesticides in its hold, threatening an environmental disaster. Recovery efforts were halted. The government and UN scrambled to prevent an ecological catastrophe. It was a grim reminder of the hidden dangers that lurk beneath the waves. As the nation mourned, fingers were pointed. How could this have happened? Investigations revealed a litany of errors and negligence. Sulpicio Lines, the ship's owner, faced the brunt of the blame. The tragedy sparked a wave of reforms. New laws were passed. Safety measures tightened. But for many, these changes came too late. Today, the MV Princess of the Stars lies at the bottom of the sea, a somber memorial to those lost. It stands as a stark reminder of the perils of the sea and the heavy price of human error. As we remember this tragedy, we're reminded of the constant vigilance needed to keep seafarers safe. The story of the Princess of the Stars, a cautionary tale that continues to echo across Philippine waters. And there you have it. 6 devastating man-made tragedies that left indelible marks on the history of the Philippines. From the chaos of the massacre and bombings to the haunting silence beneath the waves where the MV Princess of the Stars rests. These stories remind us of the profound impact human actions can have on our world. These events are a testament to the resilience of the Filipino spirit, a community that rises in the face of adversity time and time again. As we've journeyed through these somber chapters, it's clear that history is not just a collection of dates and events, but a tapestry woven in the lives and stories of those who came before us. If you found this deep dive into history compelling, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Midnight Archives for more tales that linger in the shadows. Share your thoughts in the comments below. How have these tragedies shaped your understanding of our shared history? Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the real horrors are found in the pages of history.